How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC. A little bit of a long time no see. I apologize for that. There's been a couple different factors playing into that. One, I've just had stuff that's been coming in. I wanted to wait to do another new Knives and Gear video before I had, a bunch of stuff that we could go over all at once. And also, I don't have a whole lot of reviews ready to go out yet. One is going to be coming sometime this week or this weekend. The Defense Lab E-Hood is just about done and ready for review. So that's be coming soon, as well as the Conceal Craft Bridge. That should be coming probably next week or so. But other than that, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now is at the beginning stages of, just starting to carry stuff for testing. So that's why I've been gone. I apologize for that, but we have a bunch of cool stuff to go over. But before we jump into anything specific, we always got to thank the sponsor of the channel, Auxiliary Manufacturing. Mike over at Auxiliary Manufacturing is making awesome custom USA-made fixed blades like this Pocket Bowie, or if that's not your speed, they got this Sumi. He's got a bunch of different models. He does have another drop coming up, another big drop actually, on December 6th. It's going to have a bunch of the coffin handle series, some new models, a bunch of old stuff. So if you're looking to get one of his knives, I do have a discount code with him, code Justified10. Will get you 10% off your order on his website. All the links to that will be down in the description. And thank you as always to Mike for sponsoring the channel. So before we get into any of the gear here, again, I just want to say I always put timestamps in these videos. At the bottom of the video, to scroll down to the bottom, there's going to be timestamps there. If there's anything you're not interested in, just skip ahead. I know these videos can get a little bit long. And also, I want to do something a little bit different. As I talked about in my last video, I've been getting a lot more into reading theology and that kind of thing. I know that's not going to be everyone's thing, so if you're not interested in that, just skip this part of the video, go right to the gear. That's totally fine with me. But I just wanted to start giving some book recommendations of just as I've been reading things and I've been enjoying them and finding them helpful. Maybe some of you guys will too. Again, I don't know what denominations or backgrounds or traditions any of you guys are from, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. That's totally fine. But this is called Finding the Right Hills to Die On by Gavin Ortlund. He has a great YouTube channel called Truth Unites to promote gospel assurance, really dig down into the nitty-gritty of the faith and, give people gospel assurance in their faith. But I'm really interested in his concept of theological triage, which is basically breaking down issues in the faith to primary, secondary, and tertiary issues of, primary issues being things that you must believe to be part of the Christian faith. Secondary issues being things that, within Christianity, people disagree on it, but it might be big enough things that we have denominational splits on it. So again, just to give examples, a primary issue would be the deity of Jesus Christ. If you don't believe that Jesus Christ is God, you're not a Christian by definition. A secondary issue would be things like the sacraments. So, how people view baptism or the Lord's Supper and, kind of what people's views are on that. Christians disagree on that within Christianity, but that does often, split denominations where the Baptists disagree with the Lutherans disagree with the Reformed disagree with the Catholics, so on and so forth. And then tertiary issues being things that might matter, but they're not worth splitting over or breaking fellowship with other believers over. Things like creation, if someone is a fundamental, 7-day creationist and one person is a theistic evolutionist, they should not be breaking fellowship over that. That is a tertiary issue. So if you're someone that's kind of diving into the Christian faith and trying to figure out what things, are worth fighting over and what things are worth, putting a lot of your time and effort into, I think this could be a good resource for you, as well as Gavin Ortlund's YouTube channel. I'll put links to all this stuff down below. So if you're looking into that, definitely go check this out. It's been very helpful for me so far. Let's get into some gear here. So we're going to do things one at a time. We're going to kind of take things out of here and go one at a time. This is a new wallet, and I'm not going to give you a whole lot of my thoughts yet because I am kind of under not a NDA or anything, but they have asked me not to, share any critiques or thoughts or anything until I share them with them privately. But I wanted to show you this off and, just so you guys know you're going to be seeing it in my, EDC videos and stuff like that. And it is something I'm carrying, so I at least wanted to show it off. This is by Qache or Qache. I don't know what they're called, how they're pronouncing it. Gear. They're a newer company. This is a American-made, all made in America wallet. It's really interesting. It's leather on the outside, but sandwiched in between are these two different types of wood. You have a main, I don't even remember what they are. I'm very unprepared for this video, but you have a main part section of wood that goes all the way around in one piece, and then you have liners of a different type of wood in there, and then leather on either side that is stitched through that wood for one solid piece. You have a window here you can, and some texture on the back, so you can kind of push your cards up and sort through them, get what you want, and put it back. I do have some thoughts about this, but as I promised them, I would not share them on social media until I talk to them. So there's some good things and some bad things that I think about this. I'm not even sure what the price point is going to be on these yet. I think they're still trying to figure that out, but I will leave links down to their website and their Instagram page if you're interested in checking these out. I think these are going to be going live very, very soon. So just wanted to show that off real quick. But yeah, that is, I don't even remember what the name of it is. Again, I didn't tell them I was doing this, so I'm not really prepared to talk about it a whole lot very much yet. Before we get into anything, if anyone wants to complain that I have a single nail on either hand painted, you're a wuss and you're insecure in your manhood. My wife did this to match her full hand of green nails. So if this is going to bother you and you're going to leave mean comments about it, you're not going to hurt my feelings, but I am going to screenshot you and post you on Instagram and make fun of you. So if that's bothering you, too bad, get over it. The next thing here is this guy. This is just a Zippo. Obviously, everyone knows what these things are. I love Zippos. I love the form factor. I love, being able to flip them around and do different stuff. I could do some Zippo tricks when you have the traditional insert in there. But the main reason I got this is because I wanted to try out one of these Zippo butane inserts, these butane torches. This happens to be the double torch one. The design on here is kind of cool. It's kind of like World War II era pinup kind of vibe, which I thought was neat. But the main attraction here is this. And I'm not even going to do a review on this. I'm just going to say right now, here and now, this thing really sucks. This thing is bad. I've had a lot of Zippo products over the years, and they've all been pretty great. This thing sucks. You have to fill it constantly. Half the time it doesn't even work. Let's see if it even works right now. I just filled it, and sometimes even after. Oh, yeah, it's having trouble staying on. And I know there's a fix. I already did that where you pop this off and you take that limiter on the switch off and then you crank it all the way up. I already did that. That's the fix that everyone says works for these. But like I said, I did that to this, and my wife has one of these as well, but it's just the single torch. I did the same fix to hers, and it's still having issues. So I don't know what the deal is. It works right now, but it might not work in 2 minutes, and they also run out super fast. You're constantly refilling them with butane. So honestly, I think, the normal lighter fluid ones, they leak slower than these. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, highly do not recommend these butane Zippo inserts. They really suck. But the reason I got it was for this guy. If you know what this is, cool. If not, I'm not going to explain it on YouTube, but if you know what that is, they work best with a torch as opposed to a traditional just a traditional lighter. So that's why I got this, but it's pretty cool. I'm probably just going to end up putting the normal insert back in it and carrying it every once in a while. You guys know that I love my Bic lighters, but there is something fun about carrying a Zippo around and being able to flip it around and do tricks and stuff like that. So that's that. You're probably going to see it in some pocket dumps here and there. Next thing, also not too exciting. This is just a simple Victorinox single-bladed slip joint here. What's unique about it is, one, I never see these around, these single-bladed Victorinox, especially with the clip point here. From what best I can tell, this is like a grafting knife. There's a couple different websites that call it different things. But another interesting thing about it is it is chisel ground. If you see there, you have your primary bevel just on one side, and then a chisel ground edge. This side has just been kind of hit with the grinder, but there's no actual bevel over here. It's only on this one side. So that's kind of interesting. It's just the Victorinox stainless whatever. It has these polymer handles. If you're someone that blade to handle ratio bothers, this is really going to bother you because it's got just over a 2-inch blade, and then the handle length is almost 4 inches. So if you're looking for blade to handle length, this is not for you, but it does have nice. It doesn't have a half stop, but the back spring is nice and strong. It has decent walk and talk. It's easy to get out with that clip point. It did come pretty sharp. It's kind of a weird thing. I just, someone was selling it cheap, and I thought it was unique, so I picked it up. I am selling this on Instagram along with one other thing here that I'll show in a second. So if you're interested in this at all, hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to sell it to you. But I just thought that was neat, and I wanted to show it off on the channel before it possibly says goodbye forever. So there's that. Man, we are blowing through things here. I kind of have things that I really want to talk about here at the end, but I want to get through some of these first. Here's another cool thing that's kind of odd. This is from Kistner Knives. Him and I did a trade. If you guys know, I own a 3D printing company, G3D Printables. He was interested in one of our Bic banks, so he offered to trade me this handmade spike for it. It's really cool. This kind of like rock hammer texture pattern on the handle. It's all made of one piece of steel, and then it rounds out here towards the spike on the end. Very, very cool. I'm not sure if I necessarily use it for like self-defense just because the handle is so thin, but it would make a really great, poking, prodding kind of tool. I know Zach over at Wingard Wearables always says that everyone should carry a spike, so maybe this will end up in my carrier, more likely stashed away somewhere in my camping gear, because it would almost make like a great camping skewer for food and stuff like that if I put some kind of wrap on the handle. But it came with a nice Kydex sheath. And Kistner is a really good guy, awesome knife maker, so definitely go check his stuff out. Just wanted to show that off. Probably not going to end up in a lot of my EDC videos or anything, but I did want to show his work off, so there's that. And then the last three things here are the knives, which is what everyone wants to see. Starting out at the bottom of the price range, this is a CJRB, it's made by CJRB, designed by Ray Laconico, and the name is escaping me all of a sudden as soon as I pull it out. It starts with an A, I believe. Like I said, I'll leave links to all this stuff down in the description, so even though I can't remember right now, it's down in the description if you want to pick one of these up. Again, import model from CJRB, AR RPM 9, which is kind of like the spray form version of 9CR, so a decent edge retention, stainless budget steel, nothing crazy. There was that whole controversy a couple months ago with, they were saying it was a powdered metallurgy 9CR, but then it came out that it was actually just spray form. So it's, for all intents and purposes, it's 9CR. You guys aren't going to notice any difference in real use. But I love this design. I love Ray Laconico's designs. I would love to have one of his custom knives someday. But I am poor, and so I don't have, $1,000 to drop on a custom Ray Laconico knife. So I picked this up from CJRB because I want to support him and I love his designs. And this is I think these were like $50 on Amazon. Just normal G10 handles. You got milled out steel liners inside. It's relatively lightweight. It's very well balanced right here at this finger choil. Crossbar lock, clip point blade. This is a high flat grind, so you have a decent amount of edge thickness, but it still comes down to a thin enough edge that it slices very well. Got some paper right here. I can show this off. I did have to put a new edge on it, just because the edge that it came with was very steep. It was a sharp edge, but it was a very steep edge, so it didn't slice very well. So I put a little bit of a wider edge bevel on there. Crossbar lock locks up very, very, very tight. I know I've said recently when I checked out this knife from Civivi, the Yonder, that it kind of blew me away that a crossbar lock could have no blade play, because every crossbar lock that I've had from other companies like Benchmade and Hogue and all of them, they all have a little bit of blade play pretty much no matter how you adjust them, but these don't. This is rock solid, which is really, really nice to see, and it makes you want the American companies to get their shit together. Deep carry pocket clip. The screws are in set, but the clip is not, but I have not had any issues with this going in and out of the pocket at all. It is a larger knife. You're looking at about a 3.5-inch blade, and then your handle length is about 4.5 inches. Overall length, you're looking at about 8.5, maybe just under that. But this is a large knife. I have medium size hands. I wear medium size gloves, and I still have plenty of room to grip on this all over. It's very neutral, which is another thing that, you know, I love clip point blades. I love neutral handles. I'm not huge on crossbar locks. I wish this was a liner lock. But this crossbar lock is pretty good. The tension on it is really nice so that you actually can flick it out, but you can still thumb roll. As crossbar locks go, this one is pretty decent. That being said, I kind of just wanted to check this out, and I am going to be moving it along just because I carry so many other knives that I genuinely really want to carry. Plus, I have a lot of things to review. So I am going to be selling this off, as well as this guy and a couple other things that I've had for longer. So if you're following me on Instagram around this time that I'm posting this, I still have several things up for sale, so hit me up there if you're interested in buying this or anything else for some discounted prices. Next, this just came in today. This is the Emerson P-Tac, or Persian. They have not done a run of these in a while. I've actually had two Persians in the past. I had... and they were both much, much older. They were back in the day when they were doing backspacers still, and they had the double detent system inside, which meant that somehow adding an extra detent meant that the knife had no detent. If you guys have had older Emersons, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I always wanted an updated build of the P-Tac. Because I absolutely love the design. I just hated how there was no detent on the knife, and so often, you know, the tip would kind of pop out of the handle here, and then as you're getting it out of your pocket, you're stabbing yourself. So that wasn't great. But this one, the detent is perfect. There's not a whole lot of lock stick. It's very, very smooth. I wonder if you can almost front flip that. A lot of these Emersons have this little bit of exposed hang up here that if you get the angle right, there you go, you can front flip it. But this is just a really, really cool design. I've always wanted another one of these with the updated build quality. Again, standard Emerson specs, black G10, titanium liners, liner lock, basic stainless pocket clip, 154 cm. This happens to be a V grind with a chisel edge. And then you can see Made in USA P-Tac, that's the number on there. I believe this is going to be a limited run. They were doing them in some black blades, some satin blades like this, and then there's thunderstorm finish or whatever the hell they call it. That's kind of like a dark stone wash. But this is more of a collector's piece for me. I'm definitely going to carry it because I think it's a nasty knife. But I absolutely love, this is one of my favorite Emerson designs of all time. So as soon as I saw that they were dropping some of these, I had to snag one. I may sell it down the road once I get tired of it, because again, it's not the most useful blade shape for EDC, and it is huge, but I think it looks wicked. And you know, if you can't carry a fixed blade, but you can, a large folder is you know, something that you can carry in your area, this would be a decent self-defense option. So absolutely love this knife. Like I said, just came today, so I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it yet, but just wanted to show it off and let you know that you'll probably be seeing it in more videos. And a lot of people haven't seen this model in a while, or ever, so I just wanted to show it off so you knew it was out there. The last thing is this. This has been kind of the culmination of me swapping a whole bunch of titanium scaled knives around on Instagram. I've gone through a couple now. I had, you know, that ZT0562 Ti. I ended up moving that. I had an American Blade Works Model 1 button lock in full titanium. I moved that. I had a McNeese 3-inch Mac 2 in Magna Cut. I moved that as well. I actually have a Chris Reeves Sabenza 31 in Magna Cut on its way, probably sometime next week. But this is the Quiet Carry Drift Large. And out of all the titanium knives that I've tried, this is the one that I like the most. This is a really, really cool knife. All of those other ones had issues or things that I didn't like about them, but this is just an awesome, awesome knife. I apologize for how dirty it is. I was just using it, but this is a really, really cool knife. If you're not familiar, Quiet Carry, these are all produced in Taiwan, and they are very, very high-end, precision-made production knives. I would say they would be considered small batch production, but they use very high-end materials. And their quality control seems to be pretty top-notch. The only thing that I experienced getting this brand new was that the centering was a bit off. I was able to adjust it and get it back centered. I put some blue Loctite on it, let it sit overnight, and then as I carried it and used it the next day, it started to back out again. So I put some red Loctite on the pivot, set it back again, left it overnight, and now it's been fine. So now it is completely centered. The detent is beautiful. The action is so smooth. It's one of the smoothest action. This is on phosphor bronze washers, and you're getting that kind of a drop shut action, which again doesn't really matter, but it is really nice. So you're running on phosphor bronze washers, titanium handles, titanium frame lock, deep carry wire pocket clip with that is both inset into the scale and the hardware is inset, which is awesome. It's very short, so it's out of the way. It does sit on the lock bar, but it is sitting behind the lock bar relief cut, so it's not actually putting any extra pressure on the lock bar. Has some awesome micro milling on this side to give you some great texture. It almost feels like aggressive golf ball texture is the best way I can describe it, which I really like on here. It almost feels like like aggressive G10, and I really like that because the thing I dislike about titanium knives the most is when they do smooth titanium, they're super slippery, and you just end up dropping them. I had that problem with the McNees and the American Blade Works of, they were both very smooth titanium, and as I'm like maneuvering them around in my hand or going to close them or whatever, I would often drop them because they're so slippery. But this has a nice aggressive texture on there that really keeps it in your hand. Also, the blade is gorgeous. This big wide drop point made of VanX Super Clean, which is a super cool steel. I'm not going to get into all the details of what VanX is right now, but for all intents and purposes, as an end user, it's going to be very similar to Magna Cut in terms of being very stainless, very tough, and having decent edge retention. It varies in terms of actual metallurgy, in terms of the composition of the steel, but in terms of performance, you're getting very similar performance to Magna Cut with VanX. Again, not to get too far into it, but from what I looked into, it seems like you're trading a little bit of toughness for a little bit more edge retention and stainlessness over Magna Cut, but negligible. It's going to be an excellent performing steel. It's going to be virtually rust-proof. It's going to be very tough. It's going to hold an edge for a good long time. Also, it is very thin blade stock. I didn't even measure this, but it is very thin. The handles are also very thin, but because of the ergonomics and the texture and everything, it's actually very comfortable in hand. But that very thin blade stock coupled with that almost full flat grind comes down to a nice thin edge. So it is very slicey, but because you have the toughness of VanX, you can have a little bit of that thinner edge. Again, just very smooth. I really like this knife. Like I said, I have a Sebenza 31 in Magna Cut coming, and I'm kind of going to put because I know Chris Reeves does their Magna Cut 63 to 64. I know Quiet Carry is known for doing their VanX very well. I'm going to kind of try to compare VanX and Magna Cut on that Sebenza in, similar size platforms, overall very different shape, but both drop points, very similar steels, titanium frame locks, running on washers, very high end. So we're gonna try to. Oh, looks like my wife just got home. Hi there. Sorry for that distraction. But I'm going to kind of get those two side by side, run them for a while, and compare them, and probably do a video similar to how I was doing. I'm still doing some testing, comparing Crewwear to K390 with these two Spydercos. We're going to compare VanX and Magna Cut with the Chris Reeve and the Quiet Carry here. So, hello there.
Hi, everybody.
Are you going to tell them to like and subscribe?
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Oh, thank you. But that is just about it, guys. That's all I have for you. I'm going to pull everything back out here so you can see everything one last time. Like I said, I have a couple things. This guy and this guy, as well as a couple other blades and various things, are up for sale on my Instagram at the time of posting this. If you're watching this a year from now, they're probably not, so don't DM me about it if you're watching this in 2025. But right now, there's things for sale. So definitely go hit me up on Instagram if you're interested in any of these. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything I talked about here, I will have links down in the description for you to find them, but also leave some questions in the comment section for me. I'm happy to answer them. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.